trying to figure out how to take your small nonprofit to the next level and have a bigger impact? Or do you have a new nonprofit and you're trying to figure out how to find funding? Watch this video to learn some different type of strategies that you can use to get funded for your nonprofit. For the most awesome advice on arts, activism, and entrepreneurship, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can get updated every time I post a new video every Tuesday. Okay, it's very interesting. There's several ways and best practices to get funding. A lot of the more conventional ways are for you to, of course, fundraise, but for independent folks or folks who don't have a network with a lot of value or didn't build their board of directors to be able to grassroots fundraise at a level that can sustain a company or scale it, these things can be very, very challenging, especially if you're just starting out and you don't have the metrics or the data that proves that your program works. You may have excellent theories, you may have research and science that backs the different types of programming that you use, but in the world of nonprofits, sometimes that means very, very little. So, what are some strategies to get funding for your nonprofit if you don't have something that's already ready to go? The first thing you need to do is do your research and make sure that your programming or whatever you're proposing is actually something that is going to guarantee results and impact change. So there's a lot of data that you can find. You can either collaborate with different nonprofits, you can go to different universities, you can look up stuff from Harvard, all these different type of things that you can do to support the ideology behind your organization. If you haven't done these things, be sure that you are out there and meeting with folks, different type of experts, so that you can be putting together a program or a company that fills a need, that creates some sort of change and leads to progress. So that's step one. Step two is you have to know people. So that's what people don't actually tell you. You send in these cold proposals and you wonder why you're not hearing back. Some foundations don't even take cold proposals, they ask you to submit one. The best chance that you can have of getting funding is to introduce yourself to these different grant offices. So you have to research the foundations that are supporting the things that your organization does or that you do, because you also can be just like an activist or an individual that like gets fellowships and stuff like that and does the work. But you have to introduce yourself, you have to set up meetings, you have to tell them what you are doing, right? You have to know these people, because honestly in any field it's not what you know, but it's who you know, and nonprofit is no different. The question of government funding, that really depends on your business model. Me as an activist, I try to stay away from government dollars because it kind of discredits me. Not that, like, no disrespect to anybody, but it kind of takes away from my credibility. And it also comes with different types of strings. There's a lot of bureaucracy. If it's contracting, which I'm open to, like contracting is completely different than straight up grant funding. There's a lot of different things that you have to consider before you start taking money from governmental agencies, including like when they actually are going to pay you. And if you're running a company and you're getting subcontractors and they're not paying you into this and you don't have no money to get you through, no unmarked dollars, then you're in a really bad situation. So you have to be strategic about that. I wanted to make sure I talk about that in this video as well. The next thing is that you want to look for small either companies that give seed funding to nonprofits, because some do, like the Walnut Foundation. They give seed money to not only new nonprofits but also new entrepreneurs that have innovative ideas that are going to impact change, right? You need to find these smaller grants that are easier to get out the gate, that are there to support smaller nonprofits or people just starting, so that you can do the work, have results, and make an impact, and then you can start going after those larger sums of money. This brings me to my next point. You actually have to do stuff, right? So the best way to get funding, once you know people and people know who you are, is to do the work. Like, you have to do the work yourself. I know some nonprofits that was running it out of a community space that they got for free from a community partner. They was applying the food themselves. They went from like Rice Krispie treats to being able to give the kids like 4 meals when they come to the program, and they were buying the supplies. They were doing it on a very small scale, but getting the results that they could, and it may not even be the full version of your programming. So we did so many different things when we came out the gate to show folks what we were trying to do. Like, we do intersecting arts, activism, and entrepreneurship. So we were doing one portion with this organization where we get contracted to teach like hip hop writing, or we get contracted to teach grassroots organizing, or we'll come in and we'll do a quick training for a university, or we'll do a quick training for middle school around the influence of media and how media is used to change public opinion. So different things like that. We didn't have the budget to launch a full-scale program, so we just bits and pieces of our program that we could do, we found ways to do it so that we can then have something to show the bigger funders so that they can support the vision. The next thing is to partner. You want to partner with larger organizations. I don't really see folks as competition, especially in this work. Some folks are definitely counterproductive, so I try to stay away from those folks. But as far as people that are doing things that are similar to you, especially if you're in the policy space or the juvenile justice or criminal justice space, you want to get in coalitions, you want to work closely with people, you want to really get yourself out there in association, but also carve out your own lane for your specific niche so that you can start getting on people's radar and you start to build some sort of credibility, not only with your work, but by association. The next thing you want to do to attract big dollars is get the word out, okay? You can learn something from the social justice celebrity model. Every organization does this, whether it be with their newsletter, getting things placed, whatever it takes to get the word out there about the work that you're doing. Sometimes that's hard for folks who see this work in a different way, and that, like, you know, you're supposed to do it quietly and like those different type of things. It was hard for me because I'm also a hip hop artist. Like, I want to be known for that. Like, I'm not really trying to be known as a social activist, but it's necessary. You have to get on people's radar. You have to promote. When you do your events, everyone has to know. When you get a victory, everyone has to know. You need to try to get media placement. You really need to get your name out there to the point that you're buzzing, and the bigger foundations and the bigger donors and folks are knowing about you before you actually have to go out there and talk to them. Get the word out. Always get the word out. Next thing is diversify your income streams, right? So there are different ways, and I'm not a lawyer. I talk to them before I do certain things, like the t-shirts that you see on the wall. That started as a fundraising tool and a prize for folks that donated. But there's so many different type of models that you can use to diversify your income streams, whether it's like merch or it's, you know, subscriptions and membership, or different type of things that you can do that aren't traditional fundraisers, that don't require you to go find a big donor that's going to give you $5,000, which we actually got last year. That was the first time we got a big donation like that in one swoop. Usually it was 10 here, 20 there, 50 there, 100 there, and we was just stacking and flipping, right? Definitely consider different types of business models. I saw a TED Talk about a nonprofit that uses, I think, like a greeting card company or something like that, where they have a fully functioning business. This is like, you know, the social enterprise model. They have a fully functioning business that supports the nonprofit. So there's so many different type of models. You yourself could be a freelancer. I myself have funded the organization in our early days by like going out and doing the work, whether I get contracted separately from the organization to do some organizing, and then I like put money back into the organization, or if I'm going to go perform somewhere and I'm getting paid for a show, I'm doing a panel, I'm speaking. You can find so many ways and cobble together so many different things to build funds for your nonprofit. Hopefully these tips help you, inspire you. If you guys want to know how to build relationships, you can sample from my organizing guide on one-to-ones. If you're nervous about speaking to people, the link is down in the description. This will definitely help you with all of that stuff so you can learn how to talk to people. If you're interested in more in-depth content related to fundraisers and funding, nonprofits, your board of directors, I suggest you check out a friend of mine who I'm going to link up in the video, who pretty much has a channel and is an expert and does all of these things. This video is more so for folks that have taken a similar path to me in the nonprofit space and are looking for more innovative ways to cut out some of the fluff and the trial and error and know exactly what is going on behind closed doors and what will give you a better shot at being funded. I hope that these tips have helped you. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you next Tuesday with a new video.